All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Blindside Blitz. I am Jim McPhee, and of course, alongside of me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, Blitz Nation? You know what time it is. It's the time to get your dosage of football for the week, right? Thanks so much for showing up. Want to just take you guys through this little bit of a tutorial here for you. It's real simple to do. If you want to check out anything more about political, entertainment, or other sports podcasts that we might have available, head over to our website at grumblingsmedia.com. That's grumblingsmedia.com. You can also head over to YouTube or rumble.com. And make sure you hit the follow if you're at Rumble. Make sure you even put in a little nice review there. You know, something a little nice for us. And then also on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. Make sure you comment down below because we are live. We are live, guys. So when you comment down below, we are going to react to it, whether it be a question you might have or an opinion that you might have about something we're going to be talking about. And anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Google, Spotify, Pandora, you name it, we're there. So without further ado, guess what, everybody?
What's up?
It's cut day.
It is.
That's right. It's not training day. It's cut day.
That's right.
This is where hopes and dreams are just floating in the wind and then they get axed immediately. So we're going to go through. We're going to be looking at that. We're also going to be talking about a few other topics that I think are going to be kind of cool. Fantasy football owners out there, we're going to be getting to you guys as well.
Yeah, Joe. I mean, I guess the big news here that happened recently is CeeDee Lamb got his deal now, inked a 4-year extension. So he's up there in money now, got a big fat bonus to help them out. And it finally gets done. A lot of these contracts have waited here till the last time. There's still a couple guys out there that are still, doing their silent sit-outs and stuff. So it's interesting to see how much further they'll go before the season starts. But we've always said this, and we've talked to Tyler Dunn and a bunch of other experts that we've had on the shows and our interviews, and they're all pretty much the same thing. The deal's going to get done. Just it all depends on where it is and what the money is. But here it is. That finally locked it in. So for the Dallas Cowboys, it's got to go to the next question then too. What's going on with Dak Prescott, and what's the deal with Micah Parsons too? So how are they going to figure this all out?
Not close at all. Dak Prescott, they're not even close on a new deal. And we kind of alluded that to before when we were talking about this whole situation about Dak and the Cowboys, and are they going to ever get close? What's going to happen? And they're still far apart. And then as far as Micah Parsons goes, that's not even on the table yet. They're not even talking yet because they don't have to. He's still so young in his career that they can wait at least one more season. So everybody should get paid their money. They can't let Micah Parsons go, but also the Dak Prescott whole situation, that's interesting. And we've talked about how there's many different scenarios that could take place. Maybe last second, right before, the week 1 game kicks off, boom, a deal does get agreed to, right? And then everyone's like, all right, cool, we're back on the wagon now. Now we're moving forward. Also, what's to say that the Cowboys reach their wits' end and say, well, we've tried everything on our end. We're not going to go anything above X amount of dollars. That's it. So if he's expecting that, that's just not going to happen. We're just going to rock with Dak Prescott for one last season. We're going to possibly look forward to maybe moving on from Dak. And next season, open quarterback competition. Cooper Rush, Trey Lance, and maybe potentially a quarterback drafted next season. So all that being said, they finally got the CeeDee Lamb deal done.
Yeah.
We're trying to tell everybody, listen, guys, this guy is too great of a wide receiver for them to let him go. He's too big of a playmaker for this team. He's not going nowhere. It's just a matter of time before the deal gets done. However, Jim, I don't know how you feel about this contract, but now he's the highest paid wide receiver. He's the highest paid non-quarterback, which is basically the highest paid wide receiver. But that all being said, now he jumps over Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
It's what we talked about here. You start waiting so long, this is where it's going to be next for these players, and you got to get the deal done quick. And this is what we had said about Jerry Jones and how he's kind of been scrutinized, not just by us, but other people too. And the fact that he's the GM, he's the owner. So he's not only working, the contracts and things like that, he also approves it all together. So, I mean, he's been taking the scrutiny for it, because why not try and get this done sooner? You know what I mean? What was the real issue here? Because now he ends up being the highest paid non-quarterback, basically the highest paid receiver here. A lot of it's bonus money here, but it's going to be that's where we're at with the year. And this is how it's been, and how these players, keep asking for the next one up. And that's why we thought the Dak Prescott thing would be kind of scary. But Jerry Jones, I noticed now, is kind of on the defensive now, though. I mean, he's always kind of just stuck to his guns before. But he's been quoted in an interview that he did, where he's using some serious foul language. And I'm going to just quote a couple of these. Hopefully my kids can't hear me too badly, but he goes, I haven't had hundreds of bad days. I'm emotional about it sometimes. Well, running this thing, that's who I want to make the last call. Now, when I can't effing think, when I'm old and I can't even do it, but I'm a long way from not being able to do it too. And that's the thing. Some of these quotes, they're almost borderline Joe Biden-ish, you know what I mean? Yeah, so maybe he is getting near that way, and he's in denial. And then I think that's what some of this is, when he starts getting kind of aggravated now, when he's talking about this, when people are, because before, like I said, he kind of just shrugged it off. He's like, well, I'm the guy, the be all, the end all. And he still says that, but he's aggravated that people would just, hey, you don't know how tough my job is. You guys can't do what I do, and this and that. And, we're all looking at as, well, we're trying to tell you, you don't have to do both. We're trying to tell you, just walk away, be the owner. You can still be the be all, say all, or whatever. But, bring in a like-minded guy, or even just hand it over to your son if you feel that you can trust him. But the problem is, the fact is, he doesn't trust anybody else but himself.
Well, I mean, honestly, like, that's already taken place. Like, Stephen Jones is already doing more and more of the work than what he used to do. Now, Jerry Jones is stepping back slightly, very slowly, and saying, okay, Steven, you got this. Okay, Steven, handle the draft. Okay, Steven, now do free agency for me. Like, he's been grooming his son to take over. But what really Jerry Jones is frustrated about is the fact that he's taking such tremendous criticism, not just by people in NFL circles, but also his very own Cowboys fan base has been tired of him kind of tiptoeing around these contracts and not just getting them done. And I understand there is the financial part of it, where it does take some, negotiations. It does take some savvy in terms of manipulating the cap or whatever. But there are other teams that have done the same thing just to get the deal done. You know what I mean? So when you have premier talent like a Dak Prescott, your starting quarterback, CeeDee Lamb, one of the best wide receivers in this game. You got, in the near future, Micah Parsons, one of the best pass rushers in this game. Like, you have tons of playmakers now on your roster that are all going to need new deals in order to keep them there in Dallas. And it's getting to the point where we've talked about it before, where they might have screwed themselves financially in the past with other contracts, like giving Ezekiel Elliott tremendous amount of money before he ended up leaving Dallas, or other contracts that they just wanted to keep a few players in-house, so they paid them a little bit more than what they probably should. So now it's all catching up to them, and it's at the worst time ever. When you give a deal of 4 years, a max value of $136 million, $38 million of that is a signing bonus. Like, Jerry Jones is paying him gave him a check for $38 million as soon as he signed his name.
Right.
And then on top of that, you have $100 million of that contract is guaranteed. So, and that comes from NFL.com. So, with all that being said, this is just one player we're talking about. Yes, he's warranted getting paid and getting paid right. But at the same time, now look at the rest of your team. You still don't have Dak Prescott locked up. You still, in the future, you got to worry about Deron Bland, who, when he comes back from injury, because sadly enough, he suffered an injury, he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. So he's going to miss half the season this year. But let's just say Deron Bland comes back halfway through the year and has another phenomenal, second half of the year. Let's just say he has 7 picks You know what I mean? Finishing up the year. And then now it comes time. Now you got to pay him to keep him. You already gave Diggs a big paycheck. So bottom line, what's happening, and we're seeing this, is I don't know how they're going to do it, but they can't afford to allow a couple of these playmakers go. And if they do, how much is that going to set back this franchise again? Because if they do move on from Dak, right? And let's just say they do that scenario where they draft a quarterback and it's open competition between Trey Lance, Cooper Rush, and drafted quarterback. That doesn't mean that whoever wins the job is going to catapult you to the Super Bowl. There's going to be a lot of growth. There's going to be a lot of mistakes because they're taking over that starting job. How much is this going to set back this team if, in fact, they do have to move on from Dak? So CeeDee Lamb, you got your money. Congratulations. But now for the Cowboys going forward, it's not over yet. They still got more work to do.
Yeah, and CeeDee Lamb, I just double-checked the numbers again. He's still under Justin Jefferson, so he's the second highest paid non-quarterback, if you want to say it that way. So because he has $136 million, it's going to be I 140.
But by average,
Justin Jefferson,
by average, he should be over him.
No, it doesn't say that he is. No, but so the thing is, though, with this, it is risky business, and this is what the people have been saying. And like you said, the issue is now it's Cowboys fans. But will they ever lose their fan base? They're still known as America's team somehow. In the last years that he has owned the team, they've made some playoff runs, but haven't been anywhere near, the Super Bowl like they were when he first purchased the team. It was in 1989. They started to get better. And then in the 90s, they won 4 times. But since then, they haven't been much. So living on that whole dream that they're America's team and this and that and being popular, maybe it does take a downturn here, because you think about the Patriots and the way that they've been kind of the franchise. We talk about this, Joe, because we're getting older now. We've been football fans for a very long time, and a lot of kids, and the kids, when some were born into the Tom Brady era and watch the Patriots just be who they are. So when they see that team and they're amazing, and then they see the Cowboys that have just kind of been, pretty good, but not, amazing. And they're like, who's this? Why is this America's team? Like, who is this guy? And what are these people? You know what I mean? It's different. So, I mean, I think the tides are changing, and now the fan base is turning on them. And is it enough, though? Will Jerry Jones listen to the fans on this part? And I don't think he will. So that's the thing. He's at 81, and he's telling you that he is still coherent enough to make these decisions, and he loves doing it still. And as long as he still loves to do it, he's still going to think that he is able to do it. So they're going to be stuck here, like you said, because they're going to continue to do the same thing. When we talked to Tyler Dunn last week, he said it that if you look around, we like some of the guys on defense a little bit here, but when you look around at offense and players and stuff, who do you got? You got a couple of aging dudes that they brought back to put on the billboards. Dak, who they've not bought in on, I guess, apparently, or they just keep dicking around with him. And CeeDee Lamb. So, okay, congratulations, you have CeeDee Lamb out there, but they're dangling. And I noticed this, and other people have said something about it. And you see the media again. A lot of stuff that we talk about is always media driven, and this narrative now with Trey Lance, like, look at what he did in the preseason numbers, this many completions, this many yards, this many that. Well, I think he played a lot more minutes than a lot of other quarterbacks, and maybe it is because they're trying to see what he can do in this preseason and what they really have in him, because they are really thinking about the future and moving forward from Dak Prescott.
Yeah. And real quick, the average leaders for the NFL is Justin Jefferson by $1 million.
$1 million.
So $35 million on average. Justin Jefferson's going to make. CeeDee Lamb is only $1 million away with $34 million.
He's right there, dipping on his heels.
And then third, believe it or not, is AJ Brown. With $32 million on average. So
crazy, right?
The way the numbers work, man, the way they get these deals done, it's getting out of control. First of all, we've had that discussion, but that just goes to show you that that's how much the Cowboys believe in CeeDee Lamb. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't, I'm just saying that for my opinion, I just think that's a little too rich. I think when you go to look at some of these receivers or any other position that are getting this top end money, and they're always trying to outbeat each other. It's always the next contract should be the highest paid. So I just think that like it is getting crazy with the numbers, getting high, extremely high, and a lot of putting teams in a financial kind of burden, if you will, for the near future.
Yeah. So we've talked about this a lot. And then even the fact that what they've done with other contracts, even Mike McCarthy's on this one last year deal too. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, what happens then? Again, you don't have the quarterback, you don't have the head coach again. So what do? You know what I mean? As an owner again, well, who you're hiring next? You've pretty
Bill
much
Belichick.
You found the perfect puppet here along with you, and that's still not good enough. So it could be harsh times moving forward for America's team and the Dallas Cowboys. So it'll be interesting to see moving forward when this season starts pretty soon, Joe. It's getting there.
Right around the corner, man. It's here, baby.
Yeah. So they had the last meetings, owners meetings here before the season gets started, and they went over a couple of different rule changes and things that they had discussed before and wanted to verify. But the NFLPA now had vetoed a bylaw that would have allowed teams to elevate a bona fide QB, quote unquote, to the practice squad for an unlimited number of times to serve as an emergency third quarterback on game days.
Right. So it doesn't. So and they did this last season. Like they ran the trial run to see how it would all work. And I thought it was a pretty cool idea. That way, if at any point you lose your first quarterback, your second quarterback goes down, and now you can just call this guy up like that week. You know what I mean? You didn't have to go sign one and go through the channels and of all the waivers and all that kind of crap. You just, boom, he's already on your team. You already have the rights. You just call him up. And he's an active player. NFLPA vetoed that rule of having an emergency third quarterback. Now, teams, if they want a third quarterback, they have to have him on the 53-man roster. He has to be able to be there, and that way, that's their emergency quarterback, the third string guy. So, I understand why the players union did this. I understand why they vetoed it, and it's because they're thinking of it as like, hey, if you have this emergency quarterback, he's technically on your practice squad, but you can bring him up. But usually if you're on the practice squad, you get less money. So the players union was like, no, we want our guys to make as much as possible. So if the NFL, you want that third string quarterback, you're going to pay him to be on your roster. And he's going to be there, and he's going to make a little bit more money that way. And they're looking out for their employees, in other words. So, or employees, they're looking out for their counterparts. Yeah. So, I get it, but also it's kind of discouraging for teams now because they're like, well, we like that rule, to have a third quarterback
because, especially like the NFL really liked it, I think, originally, because they don't get the poopy game, you know what I mean? Things like that. A team that's been there, because we saw what happened with the 49ers. I mean, they went through all their guys, their quarterbacks, and had nobody there, and they went from Super Bowl bound to done, you know what I mean? And so they wanted to see like a better competitive game, at least see another chance for a team to be able to make it.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about your third string quarterback doing anything, it's still a loss. Like you still don't have the
you don't have the whole. Yeah, I get that, but when you're forced, like you're thinking about either Christian McCaffrey or your punter or something like that being your quarterback. That's what they're talking about. Actually,
that's not going to happen. Bona fide.
That's where they were at. They were at that situation. You know what I mean? That's what we're talking about.
That's not going to happen.
But this is why they probably shut it down though too, because they said, well, it was a chance thing that happened a couple of years ago. What's the likely that it's going to happen again?
Yeah, it's such a rarity that it really we're splitting hairs over this. Like it doesn't make sense. I mean, I get it why the players union wanted what they wanted. They vetoed it, but at the same time, like your teams, you're either going to have to like have your young quarterback that you still want to develop. If he clears waivers, you can bring him back on your practice squad. Call him up another time. You know what I mean? You can't have them there like on the sideline waiting to go in. So you got to do it the old-fashioned way, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Back to your roots.
All right, we've got Back to the Stone Age is in the house. He says, yo, they should get rid of the salary cap.
No, they shouldn't. Not at all. I'll tell you why. Because there's a reason why the caps it exists for this reason. Is because you have a lot of high, big market teams like the Cowboys. You know what I mean? Like Philadelphia Eagles. You know, New York City has big money. You got the Giants and Jets. Like those big market teams, they make a enormous amount of money because they're in big cities and they just turn out money like crazy. Mm-hmm. Those teams would take advantage of that, and none of the low market teams would be able to afford free agents because they would just be outbid by everybody else. It just we've already seen that before way back in the day. Then the cap came into place. Now it makes it a little bit more even across the board. Yeah. Like everybody has a chance to sign someone that's a high profile player in free agency or, you know.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of really good teams all together, especially right now where I think there is a really, even though, you know, the Chiefs have won back to back here, there's still a lot of parity still. I think, you know,
that's what this league is about now.
You know, I mean, it looks really good. It's good product out on the field, I think, too, with the players.
So the cap
I think
is
it would
working.
Go backwards.
The cap's working because now you see all the parity.
The certain amount of money to split, and then there you go. You just do what you can. Here's your lump of money. Pick it. Oh, you do this. You know, they do this on the internet with, you know, what's the mean? Oh, there's this internet thing that people are doing, you know. It's you know, like when they give a value to certain players, Joe, you do it, you share it too, the tier system. Hey, you have this many points. Who you taking with that many points? You know what I mean? And you're like, oh, well, this tier, I'm taking this guy, and this tier, I'm taking some of these guys, and that's my receiver core or something like that. And it's interesting to see the different, you know, scenarios that people come up with, but you spend it the way you want, and people, you know, generate it differently, and it's you get a little more parity that way. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. Everybody could easily be like, well, this guy's probably the best. I want this and this, but with you're given the same amount or whatever to spend, it's interesting to see what you do with it.
And that's also why they came out with the revenue sharing plan, because that way they divvy up all the profits amongst all the teams. Everybody gets the same cut. And they all can use it however, you know what I mean? So like towards free agents, towards whatever. So
because you even got teams, franchises like we talked about this with Tyler, and we've talked about it for years now on our other show. The Cincinnati Bengals. Now they just do not like to spend money. So I mean, and there's a cap now, and they still don't like to spend money, you know, Joe, right? So
you still, hey. But
they are now.
I will say this: they are spending money though now.
Yes.
Like the Cleveland,
maybe because they just got relevant or something. Like that. I don't know what the difference was. What was the switch?
The Cleveland Browns were another team that was like very cheap. Detroit Lions used to be very cheap. You know, so sometimes those owners they're like, hey, listen, after years and years of advisors coming to them, like, listen, dude, you got to spend some money. Listen, dude, you got to spend some money. Of hearing that over and over and like, oh, look, see what happens when you spend money. Players want to come here, play. You get to keep players and build this team up. I mean, look at now. Detroit Lions are a threat now. You know what I mean? It's been decades of them not being a threat. Yeah. They're just there. Yeah. And now they're competing. And that's what all of this is doing. It's parity in the league. This is what the NFL wants because it makes it more exciting. And then with the revenue sharing between all teams, everybody gets a piece of the pie. Everybody gets to continue to build their teams and be competitive.
Yep. And one thing else that was discussed here, the NFL approved the equity firms now, the use of equity firms. And you have a very strong stance on this one, Joe.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now. So first of all, if you haven't heard already, the NFL has approved equity firms to purchase 10% of NFL teams. Now, only 10% of any team can be owned by a private equity firm. Multiple funds can be part of that ownership slice, but it cannot exceed more than 10% total. So if you have a bunch of your buddies want to get together to buy a portion of an NFL team, you can still, as an equity firm, you still can only buy 10% total of that team. You can't buy any more of that. The NFL still requires the controlling owner of each team to own at least 30% of the club. No team can have more than 25 total owners. That I didn't know. The owners, the amount of owners, I didn't know about. But equity funds would be taking a passive role at best without any voting power. So this is what we kind of had a question when we talked about this off air is what are they getting in return? Because these equity firms that are going to jump on this opportunity because they want a piece of the NFL, they want a piece of every team, right? Yeah. So whether it's multiple or just one really big equity firm, you can put a price tag on your team. Like Jim, your Giants, your owner could be like, I view my team as at least $6 billion worth for 10% of it. And some firms can be like, we don't think it's that high. But then another firm could be like, oh yeah, I'm in. I'll buy that. So that's $6 million. You get 10% of it, and that's it. Other teams can maybe wheel and deal a different way. Like the Dallas Cowboys, they're the richest freaking team on planet Earth. They could be like, well, even though our value on the market's $10 billion, we think you should pay $15 billion for 10% of the Cowboys. You know what I mean? So like there's going to be some bartering. There's going to be some negotiating about this 10% for each individual team. And who knows, try to get as much money as possible. And that's going to add extra cash flow. So that all being said, and here's the other nugget that I didn't know is that the NFL is the last major American sports league to allow private equity firms to become involved in ownership. I didn't know this. So like you have the NBA, the MLB, the NHL, all those American sports leagues, they actually have already done this, but they don't allow just 10%. They allow up to 30% of ownership. So teams, other American leagues have been doing this, and the NFL is just getting into it. So it seems like the NFL, just because they're just getting into it, they're being a little bit more conservative on their end. We're like, okay, we're only going to do 10%. We're going to see how this works out. Now, my opinion on this whole thing is that now that you have these equity firms that are going to buy, they're going to pay whatever they're going to pay for it. What is that? Short term, that means awesome. The NFL is going to be huge. It's going to make tons of revenue. Every team's going to get in on this. But long term, what's the long term effects of this? At any point in time, I know they said in this Bleacher Report article, they said that no equity firm is going to have like really say in a club's direction or anything like that, making any major decisions. But down the road, that could change. When you got equity firms basically saying, yo, dude, I pay you $9 billion for this. I deserve some kind of say at whether it be a team sale, like the owner wants to sell it, and the equity firm is like, no, we got a good thing going. No, I don't. No, we're not going to do this. I'll pull my money. I'm not going to pay you anymore. Like I'm going to sell my portion to someone else. You know what I mean? Like, so I just wonder long term. Right now, it seems like the NFL is like playing it conservative. They're going slowly with this, but long term, when things start to change over time and views and opinions start to change, especially with these equity firms, you never know. Like now you could be getting into something that you don't want to get into.
Right. Well, I mean, it starts off with like what you said. People want a piece of the pie. All right. So I got my little slice. I got my piece of the pie here. Here I am. So you got me to the table, kind of. You know, I'm at the table. You got the big head of the table who kind of controls everything, I guess. But I still get a little scraps that he, allows me to get just with how the team performs and whatnot, and plus profit sharing and all that stuff, commercial deals, things like that. Now, like you said, I'm sure there's other, because Stephen Jones, like for the Cowboys CEO too. He's, the leader of the board. I mean, is there a board that they go through, a committee, because this is what it might change to. Because if you're an owner, again, because you get a seat at the table, yes, the owner or whatever / has all control, or at least or say of things. But wouldn't you say that you should have a voice, even though you do have ownership and like a direction you want to go. You can't obviously outvote the owner in anything, because again, what do you have?
Definitely
you only hold a bit of a share, but you would figure you would have a voice at least at one point. And what is that like? I mean, because we already see other groups, ownership groups that get in on some of these different teams too. We saw it with the Commanders and things like that when these teams get sold.
That's different though.
It is different.
You're talking about the NFL and its owners vote on rule changes, vote on team sales. This is not that.
No, different.
This is nothing like that. This is you're only getting a sliver of the team.
Yeah.
10% is not much.
I know.
So as far as getting it inside the team, like you just brought up the Dallas Cowboys, if let's just say multiple equity firms get together and like, oh, we're going to purchase 10% together of the Cowboys. It's all well and good. Let's just make up a number. $12 billion they pay for 10%. That's a lot of money to buy 10% of a team.
Right.
And what you're saying is like, do they get any say at the table? No, they don't. Because the percentage of ownership is so overbearing for just the main owner. But then you have other owners that are involved and they have a higher percentage, 20%, 15%, whatever. So your say is really nothing.
So in the end, it's almost just like the same thing as if you bought shares on the stock, basically, and you're just the stock's higher, stock's low. I mean, so do you see? Well, most likely people aren't going to just bow out and sell their stock in it or sell their 10%.
But this is why I think it's dangerous, is because right now it's 10%. When you're talking about seat at the table, I want a bigger voice. I want to be able to help with decisions. That might happen down the road where equity firms will be like, well, I even though like I paid a lot of money for my 10% and I want more now. I don't want 10%. I want 20%. We're going to give you X amount of dollars for the extra 10%. Now we're 20% ownership. And then later on, let's just say 10 years later, that same equity firm gets together with another major equity firm. Like, no, we want to buy 40%. You know what I mean? This could lead to a snowball effect where it's a negative before you know it. I mean, I don't think this would happen, but again, you never know. Is once you start cracking the door open for an opportunity like this, it could snowball into something way worse for the NFL, years ahead.
Oh, we should get somebody on that knows more about this stuff to interview him, maybe too. We'll get Florio or somebody on here to talk about it, because it's interesting stuff. Because I would like to know more about it and get the whole angle and the way it actually works in the legal system and things like that. It's interesting. I know they're trying to kind of get more people involved in ownership, from different lifestyles and things like that as well, but then also so much that it's not even on just certain owners. And what's the investment for a lot of these teams? I mean, because if you look at the team like the Carolina Panthers, stock's really low right now. So if you purchase it right now, 10% is pretty low. But like you said, if you don't have a say in it all to say, all right, well, this stock, hopefully it's the lowest now and it's going to go up. Well, who's the guy making decisions right now? That's the main owner. Do I trust in him that he's going to start making the right decisions or not? And that's, I guess you just roll the dice on that whole thing, right? I mean, but I would like to, we should talk to William and see if we can get somebody on here to maybe discuss some of that with us and clarify. I think
Carolina Panthers are definitely going to sell 40%.
There you go.
At a discounted price. It's going to be for just $5 million.
There you go.
No billion. They just want extra money.
There you go. All right.
Jim,
what's up?
I gotta tell you, there's another player that signed for big money this past week. Center Creed Humphrey for the Chiefs. He cashed in and now is the highest paid center in the NFL.
Right.
With a 4-year contract extension for $72 million. 50 million of that is guaranteed. So definitely think you pay your big time players the money, right? To keep them happy, to keep them there. And the Chiefs, unlike some other teams that we've just talked about, they're getting the deal done. You know what I mean? They're not allowing it to linger on and get into this like weird confrontational type of negotiation. So Creed Humphrey, very happy guy going into week 1 and ready to help out the Chiefs. Possibly win another one.
Yeah, and that's what they do. This team, this is one of the teams, again, maybe that's why they're so good right now too, is when it's time for somebody to get their stuff done, or when it's time to get down to business, they handle business. You know what I mean? Patrick Mahomes locked him in long term, but even since then, it's made some readjustments to make some more money for some other people. Moved on from Tyreek Hill. Said, hey, we can get some other guys that can fit in here and things like that. Then locked in, Kels for a bit more. And then now he, again, reworked his deal again to help some more people. So they're kind of like, wide receiver by, default, whoever they pull in here, draft a nice guy, get some youth in there, but then pull in somebody else that knows the system. And they make the smart decisions. Like I said, they don't fool around with the contracts. They didn't even really do it long with Chris Jones either. They weren't hanging it along. They let some other good defensive players go, which I think they're going to excel in the teams that they have gone to.
They traded away L'Jarius Sneed, who's one of the better corners. Right. Now he's in Tennessee. So it's one of those things where you can't keep everybody. You got to keep the guys that you can afford, for one, and honestly, that are more important going forward for your future success. So I'm not saying Sneed wasn't important, but they're like, okay, do we extend Travis Kelce, or do we possibly get some compensation and trade L'Jarius Sneed before he ends up being a free agent? So it's like, there's tough decisions every year for these teams. So the Chiefs, they've made theirs, and they've upgraded the receiving core. You look at Xavier Worthy; he looked pretty decent in preseason. We'll see if he can continue that in the regular season. But then, Rashee Rice, we don't know his future. Like, is he going to be able to play? Is he going to get suspended? The court cases haven't even finalized yet. So it's like, are they going to try to? And who knows? There's a lot of professional lawyers out there that, for athletes anyway, they might try to linger this court case on till it goes past the season. That way they don't have to deal with any maybe possible suspensions or going to court and being, that kind of a little bit of a nuisance for them. So it'll be interesting to see just how, they go forward with all this. But again, that's another play that left the Chiefs. The Chiefs, they've looked to replace them. They got some younger corners that they're hoping can, develop rapidly and take over that position.
Yeah, and staying on the Chiefs, Joe, let's get to our next segment that we're going to talk about, cut day casualties to claim. So we're going to go through some of the cuts, and we're going to see who had gotten released or cut that might be worthy for somebody to pick up on a team. But before we get into that, I think is interesting is because it's something that I talked about with somebody else off air, and I might have mentioned it on the show a while back when we were talking Chiefs and stuff like that. But the fall of Juju Smith-Schuster for one, but then in the fact that he gets cut by the Patriots and he ends up getting picked up by the Chiefs, and then lo and behold, there you go, it's Kadarius Toney, which we had talked about on our preview for the AFC West. Boom, cut, see ya, bye. Why is this guy here? He shouldn't be, and he isn't. So they go and trade this guy out. That's been a problem. He's been a problem ever since he was there with the Giants. Has been injured, which he always has been. And then they bring in a guy who hasn't really found success in other places. I mean, he was okay with the Patriots, but obviously not good enough now. And find a guy here that already knows the system, plug and play. Here you go. And the Chiefs don't really ask a whole lot out of some of these guys. He's not asking them to be the starter right there. But he is a relief pitcher if they need it, and I guess in a word of phrasing, because if Rashee Rice is not there or whatnot. So it makes sense. Again, it's another fit that makes sense. So before this happened, I kind of picked this, but then now it has gone down. I'm really not surprised because, again, you see this with teams that all of a sudden they move on from a guy. He's not there anymore. That's fine. But then when that other team doesn't want him anymore, they're like, hey, he's back out there. Hey, fuck it. He knows the squad and he knows everything still. Come on, man. Let's throw you in here. See what's up, So I'm not, surprised about this move.
Yeah,
it's not a difference maker, obviously, but I'm not surprised about the move.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is like it's weird, right? Because he has talent, because he has the ability to make people miss in the open field. It's not like he can't play in the NFL or anything like that. I think it's more character than anything. I mean, this guy has not only gotten in trouble before off the field, he's also been kind of like a cancer in locker rooms, whether it be with the Giants or the Chiefs. This guy, it seems like he's snowballing into this type of character in the NFL where nobody's going to want to deal with him because of his antics in the locker room or on the practice field or off the field. Like, he's becoming a cancer, in other words. Where I don't know of too many teams. There's going to be another team, I think, that's going to bring him in because of the talent that he has. But is he going to straighten up, or is he going to just not learn from anything that has transpired for him? So being a Giant, now being a Chief, next, who knows? He's going to end up somewhere, I would assume, because the talent is there. It's just, and also you got the injuries that pile up.
Yeah.
So that's also another concern. So, I mean, a desperate team might take him. Maybe a team that thinks that they can, curb his attitude and get him on the straight and narrow. You look at, there's a bunch of teams. There's no shortage of teams that need wide receiver help. There isn't. Like, obviously, the big teams, the Chiefs, they've been looking for wide receiver help. So, when they got rid of him, that they were like, all right, we have the guys that we like. We're going to move on from Tony. We had enough of him. And then there's going to be teams like maybe Arizona that could still utilize more wide receiver help. Who knows? Maybe the Raiders, because after their starting lineup, it's like, what do you got? You got a bunch of nobody. So not to say none of them can turn out, but again, maybe there's a coaching staff out there that believes that they can change him and make him a better person, make him a better weapon. There's always those coaches out there. So that's definitely one of those players that are big name. Everybody knows him, but what are you doing? Cancer in the locker room, plus with the injuries, is he worth it? I don't think so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, so some of the players now that got cut, we've seen a bunch of these guys. I think there's still some pretty good talent out there now. So
there's always good talent too.
Yeah. Oh, I know. And even at wide
even
receivers
free agents
or whatever, it's funny, the people that are out there. So what do you think is one of the guys that end up being one of those casualties today, or even a few days ago, that could find himself or have a nice fit, I think, in another landing spot?
La'el Collins. The Bills actually cut him, and that's obviously, in connection with, he came in there late.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how healthy he is, because that was a concern going in when he went to the Bills. Like, I'm sure that they were hoping that he'd be 100%. He could come in, compete for a job. But maybe there's still some concerns with his injury. Maybe he's not 100% healthy, and that's why he's cut. There's always that. And they don't want to waste any time on it. Like, they're just ready to move on. So La'el Collins, what used to be a really big name as a right tackle, he was with the Bengals last year, and he got injured there. And the Bengals were like, well, we're going to look in a different direction. We're not going to bring him back. Bills bring him in. They end up cutting him. This is a guy that was a very good starter for the Dallas Cowboys. And now he's out there as a free agent, or at least on waivers until he clears. So I think if I'm a team that needs right tackle or needs right tackle help, I'm bringing this guy in. I'm giving him a shot. And because, like, he once was a really good starter, what changed? Mm-hmm. Is it his injury? Because that's what my team doctors are for. Mm-hmm. And if they sign off on it and say, hey, we don't see a problem. Like, now it's just strengthening him back, getting him back in the flow of things, getting him in football shape. Once you do that, maybe potentially you got yourself a starter. So there's been plenty of stories like that where guys have failed a couple other places after an injury, and then all of a sudden they land their third team and they come back strong, and kind of, revitalize their career. So La'el Collins is one of my guys.
Yeah, I mean, and I was looking at, wide receivers, running backs. I mean, and there's a bunch out there that have been able to be kind of that workhorse for some teams, or even spell in between stuff. I think Boston Scott's one of the names that kind of pops out to me too. I could see him landing another spot somewhere else that might need some running back depth. I think somebody had even brought up the Chiefs or something like that behind Pacheco possibly or something. But no,
they got it.
Yeah.
You bring up Pacheco. They got a back that they brought in as a UDFA, a white dude. And I'm telling you right now, he's a running back, bro. He's got tremendous talent.
Yeah.
We talk about bull in the china closet. This dude is an animal with a football in his hands.
Yeah.
Like he looks like the ultimate warrior with a helmet on.
Right.
Like he's ready to just destroy everything. Disrespect his surroundings. You know what I mean? Like he's looking to mess people up, run through them. He did a stiff arm in preseason game. I'm like, yo, where'd that come from? Like this dude is an animal. And of course, being a Raiders fan, I'm just like, I hope they cut him. I hope they cut him because we need running back help. That would be amazing. Guess what? He never got cut. So, I mean, there's these undrafted free agents that teams find, and they come out of nowhere, and they show you like you don't have to draft every player that gets drafted is not going to be a difference maker. But if you do a good enough job scouting, you can find these hidden gems as undrafted free agents, like the Chiefs did with the running back.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. But again, I can see him going to another team that, has had, some running back injuries and things like that.
Yeah.
Look, even maybe the Cleveland Browns, because you're going to be without Nick Chubb for, 4 weeks, 4 games. So that could be something even for him. And I could see him working nicely, in the backfield just as a spell guy. And that's where he really excelled with the Eagles. You know what I mean? So, or I wouldn't even be surprised, because a lot of those players do come back to, the division that they played in too. Look at the Cowboys. I mean, again, you've got old Zeke Elliott out there too. Why not throw a little Boston Scott in there or something?
Even
like
your
that?
Giants, even your Giants could probably bring him in and utilize him.
Yep.
What do you think about Bailey Zappe?
No, I mean,
I'm just saying in general. Bailey Zappe, he ends up getting cut.
Yeah.
And obviously with the influx of quarterback talent that the New England Patriots have, Bailey Zappe is on the shit end of the stick. Now he's a free agent. You think another team might give him a shot? Maybe not necessarily this year, but bring him in at least and see what they like. Do you think he's a decent backup?
No, I don't know. Again, I don't know enough about him. And from what, the Patriots camp was kind of saying about him, it doesn't sound good. So,
okay.
That's all. I'm just catching off of some of those things I've heard.
Don't believe them, Jimmy.
I know, I get it. But yeah, I mean, we've already seen that ship sail. Who knows? I think best opportunity for him, maybe even to get on one of those other, minor league teams, and see how he plays, and then maybe
he should go to the Arena Bowl. Arena Bowl,
and that's what he should revamp his career, and then
kill it there.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's sold. I think some of these quarterbacks, we already know the tail of the tape with them. I mean, some of the guys that got cut.
Yeah,
we've already seen it been done there. And what it's intriguing to me is the wide receivers that are out there. A lot of large names, but even good names that were there were like, well, this guy was serviceable. Like this guy was good for a while. Like
Russell Gage.
Allen Robinson just got cut by the Giants. You got KJ Hamler out there. I mean,
Anthony Miller,
dude. Yeah, you can just keep going. And what about Irv Smith for the tight end? What do you think about that? Like, still young. Like, I would love to have him on the Giants. Like, what's the deal there?
He has to fit a certain offense. Like, he is a receiving threat. He's not a blocker. Never was, never will be. But he is a receiving threat. Coming out of college, that's what he was. So it's like when Minnesota picked him up out of the draft, I was kind of excited for Irv Smith Jr. I'm like, oh man, he went to Minnesota. They utilized a tight end. They did have TJ Hawkinson there, but I was like, well, maybe they could do double tight end sets. They both go out, like, be creative with them because he is a receiving threat. I'm kind of perplexed, honestly, that he has gone to a couple teams now and just can't carve out a niche, can't stick with the roster and be not really a playmaker, but he could be a difference maker. He could be a guy that moves the chains, could maybe bails out quarterbacks here and there, like just sit in the zone and let him catch a pass, let him run with it because he is athletic. He has some speed for his size. So I'm kind of not really sure why he's been on two squads and can't stick anywhere.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because, like I said, he's still younger. And it's like that receiving type. I think for the Giants, that's what they're kind of looking for with Darren Waller, and it never fit in. So I think if they gave a shot and grabbed Irv Smith, I think it would be a great option to add to that team. Where like I said, I'm not excited about that tight end squad. I know some of the guys are okay, but I mean, I think if this guy could do something, that's a very low risk, high reward.
Yeah, another name and a guy that's still young, Hakeem Butler, giant wide receiver. He has speed. He got drafted by the Arizona Cardinals. And it's weird because for a team like the Cardinals that needed wide receivers, they had Andy Isabella at the time, Hakeem Butler. It seemed like they were growing this young receiving core, and then out of nowhere they cut Hakeem Butler. They let Andy Isabella go to free agency, and again, Andy Isabella got cut yet again. Like he's not even on the team. Like, and these are guys that had potential. And they're still young. Right? They're still young today. Like I mean, if you're a team that just needs an influx of talent, like give these guys a shot, like a legit shot. Because it seems like these guys haven't received one yet. You also look at guys like offensive tackle Carmen Jackson. He was drafted not too long ago, a couple years ago. So, and this is a guy that was a day 2 draft pick, and I thought for sure that this guy was going to develop to be maybe even a starter, like in a couple years. Like I thought that he was going to, definitely be a solid offensive lineman for somebody. And this dude gets cut, and he's still super young. So it's like, I'm noticing that there are teams where they're not afraid to cut the young players anymore. You know what I mean? Like, right. It used to be they hold on to these guys, they develop them for a couple years at least, and then if nothing pans out their third year, they're like, all right, we're done. We've done what we could. Now it seems like it doesn't matter. Like now it's just for a lot of teams, it's just about building the best team possible, regardless of age, regardless of where you got drafted, regardless of how much money we're paying you. Because you see that too. Salary cap cuts are happen, and for like the veterans and all that. But yeah, that's another guy to me that kind of jumped out to me.
Well, that's one thing that you do notice with this, though, too, is like there's a lot of teams that have gotten really good, Joe. So other teams' bubbles are, I guess I don't know how it would be bigger or smaller, but better, you know what I mean, than others. You know what I mean? Yep. When you have such a good team and you're like, well, man, I gotta cut down to some of these guys. Sorry, guy, I hate to let you go, but I'm running out of spots. Here you go. And so then all of a sudden, a really terrible team sees that and they're like, oh man, now these guys out here just because they couldn't keep them because they were already good enough that, this guy's still good, but just not good enough to meet their roster, what it was. Right. And that's where we land with some of these. But you talk about the young guys, and those are the guys you can take a risk on. But I think also the veterans, and there's a lot of guys on the veteran side of the ball that you can maybe take a chance on too, that will fit in some nice spots. I think Adrian Amos, I think, is out there too. Who else? I mean, Terrell Edmonds also, and it's just some of that in the secondary help. I mean, like I said, with my Giants again, going back to them, because again, I've seen how bad they've been for so long. Darnay Holmes got cut. Yeah. And it was kind of funny because he was a cut early on, and then they brought him in and then he kind of started to starting position and been there. And you're like, okay, well, this guy's finally, he's turning into something. And then now, cut again. But still their secondary still not very good. And if they added, another veteran there, possibly just to help out, on occasion, it might be okay. But, and that's what I think is always good to have, that veteran presence, especially in the safety position, because I don't think you can really lose out and have a veteran safety.
No. And there's safeties out there. They got, Quandre Diggs was out there for a while. Justin Simmons was out there for a while. They ended up signing, their deals and everything. But there's a couple other guys. Like I look at Cleveland Browns right now,
Yeah.
and I'm surprised that they cut Deontay Foreman.
Yeah.
One of the up and coming running backs. You know, everywhere this guy's been, he's not only proven himself, but also has done very, very well, you know, when given the opportunity. You know, so like whether it be with Chicago, with Carolina, you know, I mean, now Cleveland, like this guy, everywhere he's gone, he's been productive. So I'm kind of surprised that they moved on from Deontay Foreman, especially even if you had him as a third string running back, because they have Jerome Ford as their backup, which he's going to end up starting the next 4 games because of Chubb not being available. But I'm surprised that Foreman got cut by the Browns. And then another one that I'm kind of really surprised is, and we talk about young guys, right? Siaka Ika, who was just recently drafted a couple drafts ago. Another guy who was like a promising nose tackle. He's just a large man that you cannot move, and he's super strong. I thought that they would develop him to be that next kind of Vita Vea figure.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's not as athletic as Vita Vea, but he's got that nastiness, that power that you like to have your nose tackle have. But I'm surprised that they've quickly moved on from him too. So now he's another guy that maybe a team that likes to use a nose tackle. Maybe, you know, he's not going to be out there for too long. Maybe he's going to find a new team.
Yeah, and you talk about younger guys like you. So you brought up Bailey Zappy, whatever the hell his name is, Zappy.
Zap's not going to matter because he's a free agent.
Yeah. But Desmond Ridder even too, at a very young age. So
I'm so glad I'm right.
Right? Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, exactly.
We tried to tell everybody.
Right. But again, is there a franchise out there that kind of looks at the guys, especially these quarterbacks, you bring up, you know, quarterbacks, that thinks that they can maybe still mold something out of this guy, you know what I mean? Or do something with some of these guys.
I mean, there's teams that still need help, right? Like even the Raiders, for example, their quarterback position isn't solid right now. Like I could see the Raiders be scouring the waivers here, looking for maybe bringing a guy in, or maybe even possibly trading for a backup quarterback to bring in to compete. And obviously you're not competing during the regular season, but maybe you bring him in, see what he has in practice. Can he get the playbook down quickly? You know, is he executing well in practice? Okay, you know, maybe we have something here. You know, sometimes you can pick from other teams' rosters, whether it's a cut, like now when we have cut down day and you got some veterans being cut that we're surprised about, or maybe even a young player that gets cut and you didn't anticipate him being available. You bring him in, and next thing you know, 2 years later, maybe he's starting for your roster. So like there's these stories that happen, but it doesn't happen all the time, but you got to like it when it does. Like for the player, I mean, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think there's anybody else out here that's worth notable?
Well, Jim, there's a ton of free agents now. So like I'm just kind of scouring down through the list of each team and who their cuts are.
What do you think now with what about Noah?
Ooh.
What?
Oh, this just popped up. Ben Skowronek is now been cut by the Texans. Yeah. I'm surprised.
Well, they
traded for him.
Yeah.
They traded for him.
Yeah.
And he's an excellent possession guy. Like he's a big physical wide receiver that can move the chains, that runs good routes. Yeah, he's not blazing fast, but he's got some speed. But this is a dude that you traded for as a Texan. And on top of that, the Texans are even they floated out John Mechie III in trade talks. They're looking to trade John Mechie, who's a very young player. They drafted him. And now they're trying to trade him. They cut Ben Skowronek, who they traded for. Like, well, I understand they're deep. I get it. Yeah. But at the same time, why did you go and trade for the guy and then you're not going to keep him on your team, even as a backup? Like, that to me doesn't make sense. But this is a dude that, who knows, maybe he goes back to the Rams now. Maybe the Rams are like, oh, they cut him? Thanks for the draft pick. Come on back home. You know what I mean? So I'm actually surprised that he ended up getting cut.
Yeah, Dave, talk about the Texans. I was just going to bring up Noah Brown even too. Again, posted back-to-back 150-yard games on weeks 8 and 9.
Right.
Before he got injured, it was pretty decent there again. But maybe again, there's like, hey, we're pretty deep.
It's
here,
a log
so
jam.
Whatever it is. But like I said, I mean, that's a nice little like quick fix for somebody right there. To pop him in and see what you get.
Yep.
There's a lot of good value out there.
Yeah.
Back to the Stone Age is in the house with us again. He says, yo, did you guys see the Rams traded stud linebacker Ernest Jones and a 6th to the Titans for a 5th? Steele, that guy is a stud.
Oh my God. Here's my thing. Is that story broke, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ernest Jones requested, trade or whatever. And then the Rams like, okay, you can go ahead, see if you can get a trade done. Then Ernest Jones comes back on Twitter and says, I never requested a trade. That's bullshit. And then the Rams even said, or Sean McVay even said, he's like, oh no, Ernest Jones, we're not trading Ernest Jones.
You are fake news.
Like, what's going on here?
That's funny. Yeah, it is
what
funny
is
how
happening?
It happens. Yeah, it was something.
This is why NFL fans out there, just going to say this, never trust your coaches or your GM on what they say, because they could tell you one thing and then just do something else.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely, completely.
No, we're not going to do that. Oh, that just happened.
Yeah, you don't know what's going on. But that's why I think when we were talking to Brian Noe in an interview when he was on, shout out to Brian, Fox Sports Radio, he said, again, when you got to see like the Giants in that offseason, Hard Knocks, you got to see what the GMs were doing and stuff like that. Like we saw the receiver show and the quarterback show on Netflix. He's like, I really want to see that, like a GM show based all around GMs to see what they do all the time. It's very intriguing because you get to get that peel behind those layers to see the conversations that go on and actually where they happen. You know what I mean? It is kind of funny how it's just like they say things in jest to see if it just kind of floats it out there to get in somebody's ear a little bit to see if something happens.
Jim, you talk about safeties, right? Like be good to get an extra safety in your backfield there. Ronnie Harrison. Remember Ronnie Harrison?
Yeah.
Ronnie Harrison that was like a standout player in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
And
I was going to bring him up next. Perfect.
And then he ended up getting ousted there and now tried to make the team for the Colts.
Yep.
And that didn't work out. So Ronnie Harrison is now yet again available. I mean, if you're in need of help at safety, that would be a good guy to bring in.
Yeah. Back to the Stone Age brings up the fact that he can't believe the Texans kept Bobby Trees and let Noah Brown go.
Yeah, I don't.
Right?
I thought for sure that I thought for sure that he was going to get let go. I thought for sure he's an older vet.
Yeah, he's an older vet that really hasn't contributed to this in a while.
I mean, dude, in Tennessee he was invisible.
Yeah.
And Tennessee didn't have anybody but Hopkins.
Say his last time he was visible was with the Rams, probably. You know what I mean? It's because I don't know. Yeah. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe it is just what certain coaches like or whatever.
That's really what it is.
You know?
And this is, let's face it, this is like the coaches and the GM is involved with all this, but really it's the coaches. Mm-hmm. It's what they like to fit their team. So to fit the roster. So, if you don't quite fit, what they're looking for in terms of your build, in terms of the position that you're playing, like certain attributes that you have or may not have, it's going to be the deciding factor.
Mm-hmm.
Trey Flowers got cut.
Yeah, I saw that too. What do you think about that?
Tall, lean corner. I mean, that's usually what a lot of teams are looking for right now. Again, he's not young anymore. Like he is getting up there a little bit in age, but listen, if you need a backup, like you bring him in, I mean, I like him.
Yeah, I know, but we just saw whatchamacallit just got signed a week or so ago too, from the Patriots, but then played with the Cowboys last year. Can't remember for some reason, racking my brain. Doesn't matter. But we've seen this, time and time again. A lot of these old veterans still get picked up and stuff like that. So why wouldn't one of these guys find a home?
Gilmore. Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Thank you so much. I have sometimes.
Yeah, and then he signed it. He got a contract finally.
Right. I mean, and that's kind of funny. It's like so some of these corners still can play, and even if they lose a little bit of a step, as long as you can kind of,
just don't have him play man.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's the thing. Yeah. So, I mean, there is a lot of talent out there. Plenty of these guys can make a team, make a difference. I just noted a few things like that.
Caleb
especially
Fairley.
The tight ends, but Caleb Fairley. Oh wow, he's out there.
He got cut.
That's
Tennessee's
weird.
like, well, here's what they're saying. They're like, dude, you're injured all the time.
Yeah,
and we haven't seen you become the shutdown corner that we drafted you to be. So it's like they're cutting their losses now. They're like, you know what, we're gonna move on because you're not showing us enough. And who knows, maybe because of those injuries piling up now against his body, he just doesn't have it anymore. He doesn't have maybe he doesn't have that burst like he used to. Maybe he doesn't have the top end speed like he used to, the acceleration to stay with receivers in and out of breaks. So who knows? Like, that's a guy that maybe a team brings in for one last shot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's documented injury. You know, it's time to either show up or this is the end of your career.
Mm-hmm. Do you think like I could see like Deion Jones, he got released. I could see him even finding a home back.
The vet middle linebacker.
The Commanders. Like even just again a guy that just
they got Bobby Wagner.
Yeah, I know, but just some more like depth where that's what I'm saying. Like from the same kind of coaching tree. Like again, just to just have another guy that knows the system, you know. But you know, find a, like I said, you know, some depth here, but you know, and another pro vet. But
I don't see him going to the Commanders. They're already pretty much set there. Samaj Pirine got cut by the Broncos.
Yeah, but I mean,
good hard nosed running back.
He's all right.
I mean,
he had his time.
He did really well for the Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I understand there's a youth movement going on.
Yeah,
you know, so Pirine becomes available, but a team that needs a running back, you know, that's another guy out there that, you know, deserves another chance. Tim Patrick is another one.
Mm-hmm.
He got cut, but again, injuries mounted up. Time to go. He's a really good receiver.
Yeah, I said there's a lot of different receivers out
I heard that Tim Patrick is on his way to Detroit. They're looking to add Tim Patrick to the Lions. It seems like the deal is going to get done pretty soon. So who knows? By tomorrow, he could be a Detroit Lion.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot out there. Again, the Texans, like I said, but a lot of talent go. Cephas, I think, even just a bunch of different dudes. So it'll be interesting to see some of these guys who start signing with other teams, or, you know, we also see this, they cut them, but then they are on the practice squad. So some of these guys just might jump right back on the practice squad. But, you know, some of
they got to clear waivers bigger, first.
Yeah. The bigger names, you know, kind of are not really bigger names, but intriguing names like, you know, the Kadarius Toney and stuff like that. Will he be able to find another home despite, you know, the antics and things like that?
And
it's sad too, because when you see some guys that are like that, and you know, you look at them and they've got like 2 Super Bowl rings and shit like that, and you're like, dude, and he was a problem for one. You're injured half the time, you know what I mean? And like we hated you, so we put you on a different team who happened to have a really great team, and you didn't have to do anything, and you freaking sandbagged a ring or two. You know what I mean? It's annoying. Right. It's very annoying. You know, but I always wondered what that'd be like. Like, get me in a room with a couple of Hall of Famers that were starters that were amazing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then the other half, this is what maybe we're, you know, how people talk about, this is the table. You pick a table, you put them all in like a table at a wedding. You got table of 5 of like Hall of Famers, and then table of 5 of Super Bowl winners, but we're like backups. You know what I mean? You know, like Patriot backups and things like that. I never got to play, you know, and things like that, because Tom Brady was always there, you know, and stuff like that. And they have rings. Like this guy's got 3 rings.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get you guys together and talk it out. Like you guys each have rings. You got the hardware, but this guy did this and this guy did this. Now, how do you really evaluate this? Especially because you're going to talk about yourself and, you know, great, you know, value. Because I'm a pretty good player. I worked hard. I did this, and you know, what's that like, that conversation when you go to talk to family or other people about your Super Bowl rings? You know what I mean? Is there some kind of, you know, animosity between the people that, you know, were the starters or played and kind of got it for you they're like, hey, you know, hey, we're all still a team, you know, it's a ring is a ring, you know? I think that would be an interesting conversation, you know? Like Brian Hoyer. Like Brian Hoyer. Get Tom Brady and Brian Hoyer together or something like that. I think it'd be hilarious. But Joe, so there's some players out there. You guys let us know in the comments if you.
There's so many. There's so many. Hey guys, if you feel like it, listen. Let us know if there's any free agent that you want us to talk about that got cut that you could possibly see go elsewhere and make an impact. We are live. Make sure you drop the comments down below. Let us know you guys are still alive. Any questions or anything like that. You can also do us a huge favor and head over to YouTube for us. Head over to Grumblings Media's channel and make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up.
I'm going to come.
And make sure, do this last thing for me. Share it to any one of your friends or family members that love football talk, that love to get interactive, because that's what this is all about, is being interactive and having great conversations.
Hell yeah. All right, Joe. So lastly here for the show,
yes, sir.
You found an article that was a little fantasy. We're going to talk a little fantasy with everybody here today. Because it is, most people are going to do their drafts, or they might have did it last week, week before, this weekend.
Possibly. I did draft this Saturday.
Yeah. What was it like? How'd it go?
I did awesome.
Yeah.
I think I did awesome. Look, get this. Okay. So quick example. I'm picking 11th in a 12-team league. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, all right, well, maybe I can get a running back in the first round and have to come back, maybe take a wide receiver or something like that. Maybe I get Jonathan Taylor. Maybe I get Saquon Barkley if he falls that far. That's my thought process. Guess who falls to me? Jamar Chase.
Are you serious? Yeah, there you go.
Guess who else falls to me in the second round? Justin Jefferson. So I have my starting two receivers are Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, because here's why I think so. Jefferson, people are afraid of Sam Darnold as the quarterback. But I'm telling you right now,
he's their guy, though. He's their only guy.
I'm telling you right now, Jefferson is such a good receiver. He's going to be open so much and quite often that Darnold doesn't have to thread the needle all the time. So he's going to get his numbers. He's going to be the favorite target. And then Jamar Chase, everyone was worried about his contract thing. Guess what? He's back at practice. I'm not concerned at all. I'll take those guys. No problem. And I got Sam Laporta. Tight end.
Oh, nice.
That's my first 3 picks.
I like that.
Actually.
Yeah, I like those a lot. And that's what's funny is people, I think, get too involved with some of this. And maybe they are listening to too many people who say, hey, I don't know, the value's got to be down because this guy's throwing the ball. Like you said, Justin Jefferson, you saw it last year, even too, because, Kirk Cousins, he was, Justin Jefferson was injured a few different times. But when Kirk Cousins went down, he still even produced because he's their star. He is their only, the offense is so much different when he's there and he's the guy.
Yeah,
it's him and nobody else. Even though they have some talent there, it's just him though. You know, I mean, let's be real. That's why he got paid what he did. So and it's like you said, the release that he has, what he does, he's going to get open. And I just think, like you said, Sam Darnold's not going to be one of those guys to where he overthrows them when he's wide open or something like that, or something weird like that. They're just not connecting. You know what I mean? Like you kind of saw where Devontae Adams got upset with Aiden O'Connell last year a little bit, where he's like, oh, I'm getting open. And then you're like, oh, what the fuck, man? It is. And so you're not going to have that kind of issue. That
was all Josh McDaniels.
Right. But I just don't think you're going to have that type of issue.
No, I mean, Kevin O'Connell, very smart offensive mind guy. He's going to, that's what gives me confidence in Sam Darnold, is the fact that I don't think Darnold is as bad as everyone makes him out to be, first of all. Second of all,
he scored a touchdown on the first throw that he had.
Everybody keeps thinking of Sam Darnold as a Jet. But when Sam Darnold was a Jet, they had no offensive line. They didn't have wide receivers. They didn't even have a really good running back. Like they didn't have a good team. And everyone blames him for the whole fallout. And then he goes to San Fran. He's back up there. And now he's with Minnesota. And everyone's like, oh, who cares about that guy? He's not going to do anything for you. He's not going to win. But I'll tell you right now, he's on the best team he's ever been on, minus the Niners, obviously, but he was backup. Now he's starting. It's the best team he's ever started for. So he has protection. He has Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson to throw the ball to. TJ Hawkinson, the tight end. Like, it's a lot to like there. Oh, yeah. And then you got Aaron Jones as your running back. So,
yeah, that's what I mean. You have a lot more talent. And like you said, Joe, since leaving New York, you've gone through different spots that have really great offensive minds. You probably learned a lot from Kyle Shanahan. I think Tom Brady had brought this up, and it's even becoming a thing now. I think I saw this on Unsportsmanlike, which I think is a part of me, but
what's that?
Fucking retarded. Is now they want to, somebody would have brought up, I think it was even those guys on Unsportsmanlike, like, hey, it's probably Evan. He's a dumbass, but he was like, check this out. This is a new rule. Quarterback gets drafted and has to be redshirted or whatever. It has to sit within a certain amount of time. And then the quickest he can get into the game to be your starter is week 9. Because that way they're groomed faster, just all because of what Tom Brady had said. He's like, Tom Brady had said, hey, when I was at Michigan, I was down further in the, the depth chart. So I actually studied the game more, because I saw this and that and all that. I didn't get thrown right in the fire. And he goes, I think that when people get thrown right in the fire, they're not learning those essentials that you have to reading defenses, the this and that, and blah, blah, blah.
I get his point.
Yeah, he had a point, but then it's gotten so much so far to the extent that these guys are actually trying to discuss a rule to like when you actually draft these guys now, that you sit them back and you're mandatory because again you've got wood defense with Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Jordan Love, Patrick Mahomes. These guys that sat behind other quarterbacks and now when they're plugged in, they're looking really amazing or really good.
But the thing is like their talent level was really, really good already before they did that learning curve. Now, here's the thing is quarterbacks nowadays are groomed to step in now. Like your top end quarterbacks, when they get taken, it doesn't always happen. I know that, but for the most part now, if you can feel comfortable with taking your, let's say number 1 quarterback overall, number 2, number 3 quarterback overall, and if you needed them to, they could start right away. And they might not be amazing right away, but they're going to be adequate. They're going to be above average to the point where you can still develop going into the following year. And then they become even better and even better. Right. And then before you know it, like, okay, this is the guy that we drafted. This is what we wanted. Like quarterbacks in college now are way more developed than they ever have been. So I understand the argument. I get it. It does make more sense to sit a year, not be thrusted into the lineup and kind of escalate your development as fast as possible. I get it. But not every team has that luxury. Coaches now don't have time. You gotta listen. I drafted you. You better be worth it. Get out there. Because my job's on the line and the clock ticked as soon as I drafted you.
Yep.
Like I got 2 years, maybe 3 tops. So if we don't see anything, I'm fired.
Yeah.
And that's just how the NFL is. So now everything has to just be quick.
Yep. And that's like another bring up the point where you just said that's another bullet point on why people are looking at Jerry Jones where he is there, because the amount of whiffs or mistakes, or, if you look at his record now, since owning the team / becoming the GM, other GMs would have lost their jobs, a bunch of different times.
It's good when you're the owner and the GM.
You said, yeah, exactly.
Can't be fired.
Can't be fired. So, but that was one of the other points that they brought up too. Like if it was anybody else who clearly would have lost their job.
Right.
All right, so let's finally get to the thing here. So you found this article again.
Yes.
So riskiest picks in the first 10 rounds of 2024 fantasy football drafts. All right. So first 10 rounds. Okay.
First
10 rounds. Okay.
Round 1.
Riskiest picks.
Yep. Riskiest picks. Round 1. Average draft position is 12th for Zamir Gibbs.
Okay.
Running back. And I get it, but don't get it. So it is risky, but at the same time, Zamir Gibbs has shown us that he's an electric talent. He can catch the ball in the backfield. He can run with the football. Like he makes people miss. He's an electric player on the football field. And I understand that there's some injury concerns. So they're saying like, if you're picking at the end of the first round, basically 12th pick on average, or at the end of the first round or beginning of the second round, they're saying this is not the smartest move. It could be the riskiest move. So, I mean,
I hear
I'm okay with it.
10 is probably the cutoff. Because again, because you look at Jameer
10
Gibbs,
is the earliest you would take him.
Probably, maybe. You know what I mean? Just because again, you look at him because he does have an upside. I get that, and he's like that sleeper pick. So where do you start picking sleeper picks?
I definitely don't pick that high.
Yeah, I know. I hear you there. So I mean, if you do, I think that's what I'm saying. I think you've got a pretty big boom there. I think as a sleeper pick, I think would be okay for him there. I think in the 10th round.
No, this is the first round. Average draft position is 12th.
12th overall. 12th position overall. Yeah. Oh, okay.
It's not the 10th round.
I thought I was saying the first 10 rounds. No. Okay.
No, this is the first 10 rounds and the riskiest picks in each round.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah. So I honestly, I love Jameer Gibbs, but I don't like him that high. There's other players that I can take. Jamar Chase, freaking, Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta is rated the #1 tight end right now in fantasy, and rightfully so. He took the crown from Travis.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and Travis Kelce now is number 2.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like to me, there's options there around that pick where you're like, well, I want to stock up on running back, but Jameer Gibbs, how much is he going to be like? My thing is, he's not a bell cow,
Right.
He's going to get his opportunities, no doubt about it. And he's good. He should be amazing this year, but it is a risk in the fact that if you're taking him high when you could have took someone else that might be more of an impact or have a little bit more production in terms of touches, I kind of get it. But then again, when I think about it, it's like Jameer Gibbs, man, he is really electric though. Like I feel, because you got David Montgomery there. Right? Like he's the guy, he's the featured back essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Jameer Gibbs is the guy who's going to rotate in. So in a matter of speaking, I kind of see where their point is. They're like, well, he's not the featured guy yet. He's going to rotate with David Montgomery. He's not going to have as many touches as he should probably, but he is a role player in that offense. So I get it, but the talent is amazing. So,
okay, next, what do you got next?
Round 2, riskiest pick, Puka Nacua. This I don't agree with.
Yeah, I don't get that either.
In round 2, I would take Puka Nacua in round 2.
Yeah.
I mean, it also does depend on where you're picking, but they're saying average draft position is 14th. So, middle of the second round. Yeah. For a guy who eclipsed 100 receptions last year, broke the record in receiving yards by a rookie, I mean, guy was amazing. He was flawless last year as a rookie. It was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think that falls right in that comfort spot. I think I like 14 around there.
But they're also here's the argument now. In between Cooper Kupp now returning.
Yeah, I get that. And
they're
I know
saying that how many of those targets, how many of those catches are going to be pulled away from Puka? So
they played together a little bit last year, didn't they? A
little bit.
Yeah.
Not the season.
I don't think it really pulled it away from him that much.
Not the season, though.
No, I get that. But I mean, we've seen Matthew Stafford when there was really not a whole lot before. He had to rely on Cooper Kupp. Then Cooper Kupp goes down and they drafted Puka Nacua. He relied on Puka Nacua a lot.
Here you go.
You've got both. So I don't think it's going to make it.
I got this for you.
Watered down.
I got this stat for you. All right.
Yeah.
So on Kupp's return from the IR, the duo played a dozen games together.
Yep.
During that stretch, Nacua had 62 receptions on 102 targets for 944 yards and 4 touchdowns. That averages out to be 5 receptions or so, around 8.5 targets, 78 yards, and 0.3 touchdowns per. Take those numbers over a full 17-game season, and you get 88 receptions, 145 targets, 1,300 yards, and 5.7 touchdowns. For comparison, Kupp averaged 5 catches, 8 targets, 61 yards, and 0.4 touchdowns per outing. Nacua's per game PPR output dipped 33% when he and Kupp shared the field. So even though it dipped 33%, which is a pretty significant drop, I think both receivers are adequate in fantasy.
Right.
So I understand the reason why they're saying risky, but
because they're looking at him maybe as a wide receiver too, not like a starting wide receiver.
Like they're saying, don't pick him so early. But dude, I would still take him in a heartbeat.
Well, like you said though, too. I mean, and we were getting at Cooper Kupp. He has injury, questions too, though. I mean, he's getting injured at least once a year. I mean, so the fact that he goes down there, so often, I think it might have an option right there. You know what I mean? So he gets pretty banged up. So I think it's a good. It might be risky, but I think it's a high reward again.
Yeah. So next one they got Devon Achane, running back from Miami. Average draft position is 25th. Yes, this is risky, 100%, because already in his first year of playing, he was electric though. Like he was averaging something crazy, like 200 total yards every week before his injury. It was insane. This dude he had like 30 points, 40 points, 50 points, like in fantasy, which is unheard of for a running back. And this dude was insane in the amount of points he was gathering in such a short amount of time, week to week, that after his injury, I guarantee you everybody that plays fantasy is like, yo, I'm getting him next year. Like if he stays healthy next year, he's going to kill it. So I just 25th average draft position for that's like third round. So, I mean, yes, no, that's the thing is like, you got these guys that have the capability to really kind of win you the league. But at the same time, he's not an every down back. He's not going to be out there all the time. He's going to be in a rotation role, much like Jahmyr Gibbs, but I feel more comfortable if you're going to take a Devon Achane later, third round, fourth round, if you can, because, like his name is it's got a little, there's a lot of like following for him to pick him. So, I get it, but I think I would still take him though. I would take the risk. Like it's just like Jahmyr Gibbs. Like I feel like I would still take the risk.
Third round, they're saying third round for him.
Yeah, around third round. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, like you said, that's a lot of people's big sleeper pick too, is him again, because when he was out there, he was productive, but then again, the injury concern. So I guess that's the only risk you really do have. I double checked on my Cooper Kupp. He played 2 full seasons. All the rest he hasn't. The one season was his best season that they won the Super Bowl.
4 years?
And that was 17 games.
Is it 4 seasons he's been in the league?
No, he's been in there multiple seasons. Let me look at it again real quick. He came into the league in 2017. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7 seasons.
6 seasons.
Yeah,
this will be his 7th.
This will be his 8th coming up. So he's got 7. This will be his 8th season. Yep. So again,
out of those, he's only been injured twice.
No, he's only had 2 full seasons. Back in 2019, when they had only 16 game seasons, and he didn't even start that. Although he's only started 1 complete season, and that was their Super Bowl season where he had almost 2,000 yards receiving, 16 touchdowns. He played all 17 games, started all 17. Besides that, he has not started all the games. So, like I said,
but has he done most of the season?
No.
How many games? How many seasons has he missed significant time? Which is over half the year.
1, 2. Okay, I guess 2, maybe 3. You know what I mean? Because again, if you're
saying he's always injured though.
Yeah.
Like every year he's been injured, banged up. He's missed a couple games here.
Because again, his first year, again, I remembered he got out there and was a little banged up.
So I mean, if you're drafting
15 games he played in, but only started 6.
So my thinking when you bring that up, like my thinking is like you take the healthier receiver in Puka, and when he does get injured, because it seems like he's going to, then you're going to have Puka as the cash cow.
Well, this is what I'm saying. I mean, he's there, but you got to look at it. This is the new blood, Cooper Kupp. He's on his 8th season now. He's good. Don't get me wrong, but you got a nice, flashy, young new toy here too. you think you want to get to that guy too, and you always got reliable Cooper too if you have to. So I mean,
they're going to use both.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity to have that.
It's not like
I think they're both going to get some.
Yeah, they're both going to. But if Kupp does in fact get injured again this year, then Puka's the guy.
Puka's the guy. Yeah, absolutely.
Next,
what do we got? 4th round.
Yes, we're going into the 4th round.
It's funny how they think risk though around this.
Here's the crazy part. So 4th round, they got CJ Stroud, average draft position at 48. This is in the 4th round now.
Okay.
I'll tell you right now, any quarterback, this is my opinion. I don't take quarterbacks early.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Right.
4th round to me is way too early to take quarterback. And I know, and I'll tell you right now, I think for the first time in the league that I drafted on Saturday, quarterbacks did not go early. Quarterbacks went relatively middle to late rounds. And obviously some people panicked. Like in the middle rounds that you got a couple of quarterbacks like Mahomes got picked because maybe they're like, I don't know. I probably should pick him now. I don't want to miss out on the opportunity.
Yeah.
And Lamar Jackson got picked in the middle round.
Yeah.
Then it kind of died down.
Yeah.
And nobody was touching quarterbacks until like probably want to say like anywhere around the 9th or 10th round. So
because you got your big main guys that can give you that flash even on the ground, but then also in the air on top of it. That's where your point getters are.
I mean, they're all point getters.
People, I get it there too. That's the thing, though. That's what you're doing. But then that's why you try to fill your roster with a lot of different, point getters, like you said, with your wide receivers, load up on that, running backs, whatever. Yeah. And then again, you could always find a really good, reliable quarterback that can get you 20, 25 points or whatever. But some people, I mean, at least they used to even too. I remember I haven't played it in a while. Would get their 2 wide receivers, then the running back, and then their quarterback. Get their starting lineup, and then they're like, "Oh shit, who do I got for depth now?"
That's the thing, though. Is like, I mean, the way I go about it is, and I know some people go in with a strategy. Like I want to take this player in this round, or what I mean. They have a formula that they're going to go with. I just go in with, I don't have anything. I don't have a strategy, a formula. I like to go in, just kind of freelance it because
feel it out, right?
It gives me the flexibility and not just be honed in like, oh, well, if I'm going to take this tight end, I better take him right now. Like, how about you see how the draft is going to go? Like in that draft, there was running backs and receivers kind of mixed in that first round leading up to me. And then the way it went, I was just like, well, I can't pass Sam Laporta up in the 3rd round. Someone will take him. I want a very good tight end because Jim, as well as anybody, that tight ends are limited in fantasy.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you're going to get yourself a point maker, like you were just saying, sometimes you got to take tight ends a little earlier than maybe you want to.
If you're lacking wide receiver depth.
No, I just freaking double dipped on all that. I got 2 of the best receivers. One of the best tight ends. And by the way, I ended up with Terry McLaurin too.
Wow. Nice.
I got a nice little crew. Anyway, nice. CJ Stroud.
All right, CJ Stroud, like you,
average draft position in the 4th round.
Yes. I think that is.
I wouldn't take
high.
I think that's too early for a quarterback, for any quarterback.
Yes,
I would not take Mahomes. I would not take Lamar Jackson this high. I would not take Josh Allen this high.
Right.
I just think any
about 4th round coming back around. Like, I'm like what you're saying. I'm like, but that's my 4th pick. I mean, I'm getting more weapons.
Yeah.
Weapon.
Running back, receiver.
Yep.
If you need to, tight end. Like,
yep.
And here's the other one. This is another one now, Jim. They have Trey McBride ranked, I believe on the ESPN, I believe he's like 4th. He's 4th. He's the 4th best tight end ranked in fantasy, according to ESPN. So on that note, round 5, they have Trey McBride, average draft position at 49th. So number 1 tight end in Arizona. And I think for Trey, I just don't know if I can trust him. Like don't get me wrong. When Kyler Murray was healthy, he did utilize Trey a lot, but that's not over the course of the season. That's only, the couple of games he lasted until he got injured. So Trey McBride to me is a up and coming tight end. but I don't know if I classify him as a top 5 tight end and worthy of the 5th round selection.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Because even like you said, his first season, he had 1 touchdown. Second season, 3. Like, he had yardage, but I mean, if it's PPRs or whatever, he had 81 receptions, which was good. You know what I mean? So if you're doing PPR or something like that, might be okay. But really not a lot of crazy stats. So I think that is a very high realistic risk at that point. I agree with that one. But who would risk that? I have no idea.
Now, here's okay. So here's something funny. So talking about the 5th round, I ended up taking another tight end, I think in the 6th round, actually. And I took David Njoku.
Okay.
Because last year, holy smokes, we watched the games. Like David Njoku kind of took off. Like this is the guy we've been waiting for in Cleveland.
Yeah, right.
Finally we get a guy that's definitely one of the playmakers on this team, and he looks to continue that this season. Last year, he ended up with 81 catches as a tight end, mind you, 882 yards receiving, and 6 touchdowns. That to me, the value was too great to not take him at that point. So and I have the availability where I could do double tight end sets. I could have both Laporta and Njoku go in for me. So just wanted to.
Isn't it funny to think about Njoku and that the fact he's been there since Hugh Jackson was there?
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. And just now, like he
was also injured a lot.
He's not hitting he's definitely hitting his stride right now. But that's what I'm saying. That's what it is. It's like, but yeah, like injured, like you said, even his 3rd season.
Early in his career, he was banged up. He was hit,
banged up. But when he's out there, consistent. But yeah, coming off his best year, definitely with 6 touchdowns, 882 yards. But definitely good for. That's what I mean. If you look at him and you talk about, did they put him up as a risk? Is that what you're saying?
No, I was going to say what it was is in that article they brought up Evan Ingram and David Njoku specifically because they did so well. Both of them did so well last year that they're like, well, you could take one of these guys. Instead of taking Trey.
Yeah. Right,
because Trey's not like that. My thing is like, there's not enough. I don't know how
that's a conversation though.
There's not enough productivity for Trey McBride to just be this top 5 tight end.
Do you have a list of the top ranked tight ends? I
would have to go look it up.
Let me look it up quick, but you can continue.
6th round. We're in round 6.
6th round.
Riskiest pick, Zamir White, running back for the Raiders. I definitely agree with this. 110%.
Who is it?
Zamir White.
Yes.
Because I've pounded the table and said that this guy is not good enough to be a starter in the league. And there's a reason why he didn't take any snaps away from Josh Jacobs.
Said it last week, I think.
There's a reason. I've been saying it for a while.
But
there's a reason why he didn't take any snaps away from Josh Jacobs when he was there.
Yeah.
Josh Jacobs would get banged up in games, and Josh Jacobs still coming back out to play another snap. Not Zamir White. Zamir White is just a power back that runs straight north and south and doesn't do anything else. He looks to just run through people. Not that dynamic. And Jim, I got a story for you. So during the draft, Zamir White's name came up. Who's Zamir White? I said, Zamir White. I go, Zamir White. Oh man, he's a starter for the Raiders. Like, oh really? I go, yeah. I mean, somebody better take him before I do, because if he gets to me, that's my Raider. I'm gonna take him. I'm gonna have my starting running back, and you guys are all done. Like it's a wrap. Sure enough, he gets picked like probably a couple picks before I do. And I was just like, you guys screwed up. You guys really screwed up.
Listen to the other people, man.
Oh, I love it. That's the fun part of doing in-person drafting.
Yeah.
As you get to razz on each other, you get to pick on each other. Like, it's so much fun.
Here, let's put it this way.
Yeah.
All right, I've looked right here.
Yes.
I don't know who's it. Rotoballer. Hey, Rotoballer. Doesn't Scott Engel?
That sounds familiar.
Right, for Rotoballer. And this is actually showing the Seattle Seahawks right here. So it could be Scott Engel.
Scott.
Not sure. But I'm not going to guarantee that. So I'm sorry, Scott. Sam Laporta, number 1. Travis Kelce, number 2. Mark Andrews. Then Trey McBride. So they got Trey McBride over Dalton Kincaid, Kyle Pitts, George Kittle, Evan Ingram, David Njoku.
Yes.
That's your top 9.
Ain't that crazy?
That is insane.
That's crazy.
So what is he smoking that we're not? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know, but I want some.
Yeah. Like, what did he see? Because again, back, if you look at previous results, the numbers don't add up. So it's got to be all on feel or something
Jim. We just got done talking about David.
Yeah.
Guess who's on round 7? David Njoku. Yep. They're saying it's a risky pick to take him in the 7th round. So his average draft position is 80th. In the 7th round, they're saying, oh my God, last season was a light bulb, finally appeared to come out of nowhere and had a really good season. They're saying, because they're basically calling him a one-hit wonder.
Yeah. They're saying what they're calling. He blossomed quick and he's
so they got to. Look, here's the thing. What changed from last year? You still got Deshaun Watson at quarterback. You still got that offensive line. You still got weapons around. Nothing changed. David Njoku is still going to be a big part of this offense. So I don't see this as a risk.
Yeah. He's got to be a big part of the offense. And like you said, not only just Deshaun Watson, but I mean, that's what I mean. They went down to Joe Flacco and stuff like that. So he was getting it done even with, a 3rd, 4th string quarterback at that point.
Well, he was the backup.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, that they grabbed off.
Don't do Flacco like that. Come on.
Just saying. A guy that wasn't meant to be playing. He wasn't even supposed to be playing. And the guy produced.
He just said, put me in, coach. I got this.
So, I mean, that's good right there. So I would go in on that.
Yeah. So next we have in round 8, and this one I agree with, Christian Watson. And I'll tell you why.
Yeah,
because he can't be that difference maker. He can't be that number 1 talent. But here's the thing. You're in Green Bay right now, and you're surrounded by other big-time weapons. Jaden Reed, Romeo Doubs. Like, there's other options to go to.
Right.
It's not just about you or one other guy. It's everybody's going to be involved. So I could see why, if you draft Watson a little too early, how this could be a risky move, because you could be drafting this guy ahead of the other Green Bay wide receivers. And guess what? Jaden Reed ends up being the kind of number 1 fantasy receiver out of that team.
Yeah. For me, I'm in agreement, and I'm looking at Christian Watkins as like, we're getting into later rounds. It's getting towards the end of the draft where you're kind of just throwing a spitball. You're like, fuck it, I'll take this guy. You know what I mean? I don't see him as, I'm going to grab him in some of those earlier rounds. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't myself.
Well, this is saying in round 9.
Well, just still even 9. If you look at, 8 or 9 or 8, and filling 8 slots, he's not there for me.
No.
So not nowhere near.
No.
Like I said, I see him as filling a bench spot somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't, you know what I'm saying? So he's in my last bet for where we're spitballing.
Well, basically, this is where he is probably a backup.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on how you draft, I know with PPRs now, it's a really big thing to take receivers first now over running backs. So because you're getting the catch, you know what I mean? You have the opportunity anyway to get that extra point, or 2 or 7. Round 9, Hollywood Brown. Marquise Brown for the Chiefs. His average draft position is 99th. For the Chiefs, this could be. I mean, we're getting to like middle rounds here. Hollywood Brown.
For me, I don't think that's. I'll just say what you think about it. I mean, like, I don't think that's much of a risk. I guess again, I would pop him on there because this is probably his best upside that he's ever had.
Yeah,
when you have Patrick Mahomes there as your quarterback, anything goes. Especially if, again, there's, Rashee Rice has issues still and he's not there. He's going to need another target to go to besides Travis Kelce. So I think this is his best value that he's probably ever had. Like I said, with Lamar Jackson, you already knew Lamar was thinking run first. It didn't really work out when he was there with the Cardinals. So this is his best fit, his best spot. So I think if he's going to shine, this is now.
Yeah, and here's the thing is we don't know what's going to happen with Rice. We just don't know. His next court date is not until December, somewhere in December.
Okay.
It doesn't appear his case will be resolved anytime soon. Obviously, it seems like it's dragging. So that being said, maybe he still gets to play. If he does get to play while that court case is going on, you have Rashee Rice to deal with, which is definitely one of Mahomes' favorite targets. Yeah. Xavier Worthy is growing to be another one because we saw in preseason how he loved the fact that he just ran by the coverage and was wide open, kind of like what Tyreek Hill did. Yep. So the cheetah himself. And then when you have those elements, even if Rashee Rice is out of the question, Xavier Worthy and Travis Kelce are going to be those kind of like those other contenders for the ball, to where Hollywood Brown might not be as concentrated on like you might think, which dummies down his value. Yeah. And that goes for any crowded receiver room, right? So like risky. I would, I'm going to agree that it is risky because just for those factors, because he's not the only guy there. It's not like it's just Brown and Travis. It's Brown, Travis, rookie Xavier Worthy, and then you also got just said his name too. Rashee Rice.
Yeah. How about this for a risk?
Ooh,
I think somebody. Well, you know Zach, right? I'm just going to flat out say it, Zach.
Mr. Walker.
Mr. Walker. I don't remember what round. I want to say it's the 4th round. He grabbed Rashee Rice.
I'll tell you right now, I have a picture of the draft from.
Do you? When he grabbed it? He was there in that draft?
Let me see. Let's see. So
in Cody's draft. You drafted in Cody's thing, right? He grabbed him. What did you think? And where did he get him? Are you afraid? Because he's like, I'm worried a little bit, but
he took him 1, 2, 3, 4. He took him in the 5th round.
5th round. I was close. I thought 4th, but 5th.
5th round.
What do you think of that?
I don't think much of it.
Okay.
I think it's too early.
Well, that's what I mean about risk or
for Rashee Rice. I think that's too early, especially with the court. And of course, I busted his nuts.
Oh yeah, so
as soon as he picked him up, oh, you just got a criminal on your team. And he's like, "What do you mean?" I'll go, "Well, you won't see him till mid season."
Yep.
We don't know that, but just to kind of bust his balls a little bit.
Yeah, just because you have to.
I got it.
All right. So where are we at? We got the 10th yet?
Now we're in round 10.
Round 10. Here we go.
Get this, round 10. They're saying that Jameson Williams is a risk. Average draft position is 116. So we're in the 10th round now. This is where most of the time you're getting your backups, anything, running backs or receivers. But Jameson Williams being picked in round 10 is not a risk to me.
No.
I would say if you end up if you love this guy that much and you end up taking him in the 6th round, I think you're crazy. But this guy has been dealing with injuries leading up to last year. And last year he started to come out of his shell, so to speak, and really kind of, make some big time plays, catches for first downs, touchdown catches. So the hype is big on Jameson Williams out of Detroit. They're saying that this dude is 100% ready to take over the starting job next to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, if that's the case and Jameson Williams lives up to all the hype, this definitely is going to catapult this offense to a whole other level that we haven't seen. Because he is a speed demon. And we've already seen him make, highlight plays here and there. So if he can stay healthy, then maybe Detroit. You might have yourself a sleeper. That's what if you take him in the 10th round. Now I just want to say, because I took Jameson Williams and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I took him in the 10th round. I took him right in the 10th.
So there you go. So you took that risk then. So you have to stand by that then. So no wonder why you do that, I guess.
Well, because Jim, I'm trying to win this year. There you go. So sometimes you got to take risks, especially when you're picking later in the draft. When you're picking 11th, 12th, 10th, sometimes you got to reach for guys. Sometimes you got to, go on a limb for some players. Yeah. So I'm hoping it pays off.
Yeah, definitely. And so, I can see that too as well. Cause, he's still young. There's a lot of talent there, and he's definitely on the upward turn. So, I mean, just needs to get where he's just had a slower start because of the injury. So, there's potential there.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's it.
There you go.
There you go, everybody.
There's the first 10 rounds of fantasy football
riskiest
picks.
And some of them we just completely disagree with.
Yeah, some we did. Yeah. But I think there's even some others out there.
Jim.
What's up?
This kind of concludes our show.
It does.
And just to everybody out there, if you want more of us, and we all know you do, so just head over to grumblingsmedia.com. You can also check out any other great political, entertainment, sports podcasts out there. Also, check out the YouTube channel, and please help us grow this channel because we are on the rise, everyone. Blitz Nation, wake up. Head over to YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up while you're there. Like the video. Share the video. Comment on the video. We will reply to you.
Yeah,
and head over to rumble.com. Make sure you drop a follow there. And anywhere, take us on the go. Anywhere you get your podcast, whether you're going to the gym, to work, to swim in the pool, down at your apartment complex, Apple, Google, Spotify, or Pandora. That's where you can find us.
Excellent. The season's getting near, Joe. I'm excited. I can't wait to go.
I can't wait.
And see some of these games. It's going to be fun. And we got to do something special with picks or something for this show. We have one for our other show. Maybe we should do something different for this show.
I have
let's leave it open to comments too. Anybody out there, any of our Blitz Nation has ideas for either punishments or what we should do for betting or something like that, weekly, yearly, or do we just bet all together and then that's just do our picks or whatnot? But let us know before we get into the season so we get it all prepared.
Before we take off here, I have to call out the blasphemy pick of the year.
Oh.
And I'm calling out you, Mark McDonald.
Mark McDonald.
He took Kirk Cousins, and I think it's blasphemy, not for bad reasons, but I think it's absolutely insane where he ended up taking Kirk Cousins. And that was the perfect soundbite to do because he took Kirk Cousins in the 16th round. You only have 17 rounds to pick. He took him in the 16th round. Kirk Cousins.
Wow, man.
Who can score a ton of points. And with this Atlanta offense, dude.
That's funny.
That's a home run pick right there. But here's the crazy thing is it's his backup. He took Jalen Hurts in the kind of beginning of the middle rounds.
Yep.
So what are you doing? What are you doing here?
Well, that's what's funny is because that shows you look at the depth you can get for a quarterback even further down
in that league.
Because
it changes. Every league is different.
It does.
People draft differently.
But it is what's I find funny sometimes is when people try and guess ahead of time and kind of be like, Michael Penix is going to be the starter. Let me tell you, I'm going to grab him first ahead of Kirk Cousins. And you're kind of like, you picked the backup first before the starter. Like I've seen that a few different times in drafts before. And that is funny stuff. When that happens.
I'm hoping that the Raiders before week 1 trade for Kirk Cousins.
Did anybody pick JJ McCarthy?
No, nobody.
That's always good when then some people do grab like you go put the guy up there and you're like, dude, that dude's injured. He's out for like the season. Like,
that's the best.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you mean?
Didn't do your homework.
See, that's part of it though too.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of bothers me is when people kind of like they kind of it's fine, just pick someone else. No, that's part of it. You got to know what you're doing.
Yeah. Then what are you doing here? Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing if you ask, like, is this guy healthy? You know what I mean? Like, okay, fine. Like, all right, at least you're asking, but you didn't just put it up there. Then maybe we forgive you. But
rules. That's it. We got to do your thing.
Rules and regulations.
Maybe that'll be our first pick six. We're gonna do a segment called Pick Six. We're gonna pick 6 things and do a list of it. Maybe that'll be one of your pick sixes. It'll be your fantasy rules for the draft day.
That's right. I got plenty.
There you go.
We could do 10.
We have more than 6. Okay. All right. So that's it. We're wrapping up. It was a lot of fun conversation here. It's funny to get different, and get down to the different stuff and conversations. Yep. We had a bunch of interviews here and we definitely love doing them, and we're gonna do more throughout the season too. So
we are doing
this is our first season with the Blindside Blitz.
That's right.
We're excited for what's to come for the season. We got a lot of stuff in store for you guys, players, experts, everything. So stay tuned. We're working on a bunch of different things, including merch and other stuff out there. So guys, stay near it. Stay near the YouTube, the Pandora, and the and the audio clips too, and Apple and all that stuff. So let's come along with the ride, with the Blitz boys. So thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next time.
Hey everybody, this is Big John from Grumblings Media, and I just want to say thank you for watching our content. If you want to support our efforts here at Grumblings Media, just smash the subscribe button right here, totally free, or just go ahead and consume more of our great content. Click either one of these two boxes.